Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at on this beautiful planet of ours. This is Marc, the Intuitive Prospector, here for another Metaphysical Mocha Mondays with Marc here on the Om Institute page. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Just going to take a few seconds to let the live feed start streaming out. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday with family and friends. It's the Monday after the long weekend, so I just want to thank you for being here this morning. Going to be talking about our greatest weapon against stress and some of the things that you can do for the week ahead, especially as we move into a Mercury retrograde, which will be taking place here. So I have the comments off. So if you're saying good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever you're at in this beautiful planet of ours, good morning to you. Thank you for joining me here Monday mornings at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern for Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. Been doing the show for about a year. I have a lot of fun, but I actually set out to start doing this show on a journey to help people on their spiritual path for the week ahead, and I found that Mondays was the least popular day, and so I thought that what better way to help people than do a show on Monday mornings. So if you guys would do me a favor and be so kind, we are growing this grassroots style. So if you like the work that I'm doing or any of the other wonderful teachers and spiritual light workers here on the Om Institute page, please subscribe to the video. You can also subscribe to Om Times Magazine or my internet-based show, Inspired Living Radio, which is also through the Om Times Radio Network. So just hit the subscribe button down below. Please share out with your networks for people of like-minded that would be interested in doing this. And one of the requirements for hanging out with me on Monday morning is to grab your cup of coffee, grab your cup of tea. I'm here in Seattle, Washington, and let's have a spiritual chat. Let's have a spiritual conversation. Just want to give it a second here. I'm going to give you the topic, but also going to give you the number for the week, the prospecting stone or crystal of the week, and also your animal spirit guide for the week. I will be heading over to my business page, The Intuitive Prospector, here on Facebook for the Q&A after show, and what that is actually where I have a spiritual conversation directly with you. This platform allows me to get to the topic and the inspirations. The after show is to directly have a conversation with all of the amazing spiritual prospectors out there all around the world. So I'm going to paste the link into the description field here, and let me just do that right now. Okay. So there's a link down below in the description field for the Q&A after show. So if you want to have a conversation or ask me a question, might do a free reading for you, pull a card. That's at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and that's over on my business page, The Intuitive Prospector, and you can have a direct conversation with me. So I'd love to chat with you. I've got a lot of amazing spiritual prospectors out there all around the world, so it's just amazing how this show has really grown over the years. So please share out. Let's bring the community together. Let's bring the spiritual chat online, and let's talk about this morning's topic, which when I was in meditation, I was thinking about Thanksgiving is over. We're getting ready to move into the holiday season, the Christmas holiday season. So a lot of it can be very chaotic. A lot of it can be very stressful, a lot to do, a lot to get done, presents to buy, places to go, family to see, etc., etc. And I thought about stress, just, one of the biggest killers of people, and I remember this from my days as a first responder in the fire service and some of the stats of just teaching CPR and first aid. One of the biggest killers of people is stress. Stress, that people die from stress and they die from shock. And it's usually the shock and the stress on the system repeatedly taking over, and that usually leads to other things. So I thought this morning I would talk about stress for the fact that our greatest weapon that we have against stress is our power to choose our thoughts, and what thoughts and what decisions we decide based on the thoughts that we have in our head. So I thought stress would be a good topic for this morning. I usually don't have anything planned or scripted until right up about an hour before I go live, and then I sit and meditate and just kind of see. I kind of resonate out with the consciousness of the world, see what people are doing, kind of feel into the general senses, I guess, as a spiritual teacher, and then I kind of put it all together. So today's topic is our greatest weapon against stress is the ability to choose, and I'm going to give you some guidance for that, but let me get a drink of my coffee here real quick. Coffee and tea, that always starts out the week well, right? So if you're just joining us, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Put your name in the comment section. I will go back after the Q&A after show over on the Intuitive Prospector page. After I'm done, I do come back to this page and I'll post some pictures. I will say hi to you if you have questions about any of the work that I'm doing here in the Seattle, Washington area. You can look me up at marclanehart.com, Best American Psychics, Best Psychic Directory. You can also find me over on Om Times Radio, Inspired Living Radio every Wednesday. And just go to marclanehart.com. That's kind of your one-stop shop if you're interested in spiritual development, a reading, mentoring. And then you can also check out my newsletter, Soul Adventures, which I'll put a link in if you want to get spiritual messages through the e-newsletter called Soul Adventures every month. So let's talk about the ability to choose. Because that is your greatest power while you're here, is the ability, your free will and your choice. And so this morning I wanted to talk about the greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. And that was coming to me through meditation, that there just seems to be a lot of people stressed out right now. And I know that Thanksgiving, one of my favorite holidays, is over, so I'm not really too stressed right now because I've been relaxing for the last 3 days. But as we move into a new year, as we move into Christmas, the holiday season, a lot of people do get stressed out. And so I wanted just to remind people that your greatest weapon that you have is your ability to choose your thoughts over one another. You can choose to follow the one thought and go down the rabbit hole of doubt and negativity and misery, or you can choose to go down the tunnel of light, which is positivity, affirmations, no stress, healthiness, and being a part of that thought process, because it really does start with your thoughts, guys. And it's taken me years to get to this point to understand that it does start all with your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your behavior, and so on and so forth. So one of your greatest strengths is the ability to choose your thought over another, so you don't have to believe every thought that comes into your head. And they've done studies anywhere between 40 and 60,000 thoughts, depending on the person, I guess, depending on their vibration and how they're vibrating to life. But most people are between 50 and 60,000 thoughts generally in a day. And you only think one thought at a time. So I know women are much better multitaskers than men. I do understand that. But even women and men only think one thought at a time that comes into this space, and then you can either hold on to it or move it along. And so I wanted to remind people that you don't have to always believe every thought that you're thinking. You don't have to follow that thought. And sometimes those thoughts can be planted by external environments, your other people, careers, relationships. Sometimes those thoughts are planted, like they talk about planting the seed. So you don't necessarily have to take that thought and make it your own. You can move it along, like looking at like a movie theater, just like you swipe. If you work with technology on your iPhones, if there's something that you like, you stay on it and you pay attention to it. If it's something you don't like, you scroll up or you scroll down or you scroll sideways, depending on how you're holding your phone. But the same thing works in your mind. It's kind of like your timeline, and if you don't like what's on your timeline, then scroll down or scroll up, move past it, because that really is your greatest weapon against choosing your thoughts and what thought you have over another. The other thing that I like to talk about is our greatest commodity is time. So us as humans measure our life by time and where we're at on that timeline. No other species does this except for humans that I'm aware of. We're the only species that pays to live here. And then we also have the ability to choose our thoughts, which a lot of species don't have that ability. So your greatest choice and power is the ability to choose your thoughts. So I wanted to share that with you today. If you're joining, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Leave your comments. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to all the first-time spiritual prospectors out there. If you're returning, thank you so much for joining me here every Monday morning. We take about a half hour and we just do a little spiritual prospecting for your own spiritual gold. We like to explore through body, mind, and spirit and have a spiritual conversation. So if you like what we're doing here on the Om Times Institute page, please share out to your networks, and let's bring people together to have a spiritual conversation and be a light in the darkness, because right now there is a lot of pain and suffering going on out there in the world, and I always say that there are more good things and there are more good people out there than there are bad things and bad people. That's just my personal opinion, and I hope that you will join me on this this journey, as they say. So just sharing out to a few of the pages. Again, thank you for being here. And again, today's topic is about our greatest weapon against stress is the power to choose one thought over another thought. And that's just the reminder for the week as we set out into moving from November into December later this week, and also as we move into a Mercury retrograde. So if you're not sure what a Mercury retrograde is, Google it, go to the Farmer's Almanac. It's been followed for many years now, and that's going to take place on December 2nd. It's going to go through December 22nd. So we have a couple weeks as we go into the Christmas holiday where we're going to be in a retrograde. Retrograde impacts people's ability, kind of slows the vibration down, I guess is how I describe it. If you want to put a comment on your experience with Mercury retrograde, watch your traveling, because it impacts technology, it impacts traveling, it impacts patience, impacts communication. I've seen this even from just a technology standpoint of how Mercury retrograde can really impact the technology. So that's going to start December 2nd. It's going to go through the 22nd of December. So just pay attention to that. I always teach people to be aware of your surroundings, be aware of cycles and trends that are taking place. So pay attention December 2nd through December 22nd of your own patience and your ability to communicate. So just had somebody had a question here that I just saw posted. So again, if you want to join me on the Q&A after show, it's over. The link is down below. It's just look up for the Intuitive Prospector, and I will have a direct conversation with all of you. There's about trending between 80 to 100 people, so I can't get to everybody because this allows me to talk about the topic. But we'll switch right after this, the Q&A after show, the Mocha Monday after show over on the Intuitive Prospector page at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, 11:30 Eastern. Go for about a half hour, 45 minutes. It's a way to get just some guidance, maybe a free reading, and just have a spiritual chat. So it's my way of this is all free. It doesn't cost you anything. It's my way of giving back and being in service. But if you do want to take that next step and have a service with me, just go to marclanehart.com. Read my testimonials, read the people that I've worked with. You can find me at Best American Psychics, Best Psychic Directory, Om Times Radio through Inspired Living Radio. And I'd love to do some spiritual prospecting for your own spiritual goal. So this morning wanted to talk about, there's a crystal that came to me. I try to give a spiritual mantra. I try to give a stone or crystal. I think it's important to work with different stones and crystals to work with nature. As you can see, I've got nature backdrop behind me. Also going to give you a spirit totem animal to pay attention to. I, in my own journey, have found nature to be amazing. It's our greatest healer. It's our greatest teacher. I have a lot of interactions with nature, and when you pay attention, it's quite amazing, the signs, the symbols, and the synchronistic events that take place through the power of nature. So the first stone that I want to give you this morning is a Smithsonite, and it is, I'll post a picture of what it looks like. But the Smithsonite came through. It's kind of a blue-green, kind of a turquoise color in the raw form. It can also come in purple, browns, yellows, whites, but it's mostly blue. Blue-green is really the really color of it. The appearance, it's kind of got a pearly, lustrous kind of like silky bubbles kind of laying on top of each other in its raw form. It's easily obtained, so it's not a rare stone, and it's you can find the source of it of Smithsonite in the United States, Australia, Greece, Italy, Mexico. But what I liked about this stone when I was looking at it to tie it to stress, because that's what we're talking about today, is the topic of our greatest weapon against stress is our power to choose our thoughts. And the Smithsonite is a stone of tranquility. It's of charm, kindness, and favorable outcomes. So it has an extremely gentle presence, and it forms a buffer against life's problems. So if you're having high stress, if you're having a rough go, and we all have been there, trust me, life happens. Life never asks us what we want. We've got to go out and make what we want happen in life and have that vision and manifest. Use the Smithsonite. Again, Smithsonite, Smithsonite. And again, it's good for dealing with stress. You can wear it around your neck. You can wear it around your wrist. You can have it by your desk where you're working, especially if you're in an environment of, chaos and stress all the time. So use the Smithsonite to help you achieve tranquility, kindness, favorable outcomes, but it also forms a buffer against what we say is life's problems. Lessons and blessings, right? We have a lot of lessons and blessings that come our way. So that's Smithsonite. Hope you'll check out that stone. That is the spiritual crystal of the week here on Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. The number that I'm going to give you for the week, for those of you that have been thinking about moving into a spiritual career, as we finish up 2017 numerology is the year of the one. So I work a lot with numbers. I work a lot with cycles and see how numbers also play an important role. Mathematics, the universal language of us all. Numbers play a very important role. Time, that we wear on our wrist. And so the card that came up this morning was a spiritual career card. So for those of you, I know it's backwards on the video, but for those of you that have been thinking about moving into a spiritual career, it took me a few years to move into a spiritual career myself, and I'm only part-time. I don't even do this full-time. I have a day job that I work part-time, and I run a company, a CPR first aid company. So I stayed busy, but I didn't want to make my spirituality my full-time career, because I think it's you need to treat your spiritual career not as a money maker, but as a authentic, genuine way of being in service and helping others, being in service to the spirit world, those in the spirit world, those who seek you out to have a reading with you. And so I didn't want my spiritual career to be full-time and based on money, because I find also that people that move into a spiritual career full-time and they then they've got to make the income to pay their bills based on their spiritual work. Then it becomes a big competition. You get people that get into cliques, and I think it loses the value of being a spiritual teacher, being a light worker, and it should have a balance of there are people that are watching this that are full time. That's great, and I hope that you've established a great clientele. But there's enough work out there, grief and misery to go around for everybody to help out. So if you've been thinking about a spiritual career, that card was pulled for you this morning as we move into 2018, which is the year of the two. So 2017 is the year of the one, which was about tearing down old structures, completely getting away from old things. And as we move into 2018, within the next month, we're going to start relaying a new foundation. The year of the two is rebuilding. It's a rebuilding year. So this is a great time if you've been thinking about starting a spiritual career, either full-time or part-time. I would recommend, based on my own journey and experiences, that you go into a part-time basis. Don't just drop everything that you're doing. I do know some people that have done that. Good for them. Leap of faith for sure. For me, though, I didn't want to do this full-time because I wanted to have it be sacred work that I do. So I do this part-time. And so if you've been thinking about doing that, pay attention to the number 78 or the number 15, which also is the number 6 in numerology. 15, 78, 7 plus 8 is 15. 1 plus 5 is 6, which is love. So pay attention to the number 78, 15, and 6. It could be the 6th day of the month. It could be the 15th week into the year. But pay attention to those numbers to see if the right things open up for you for having a spiritual career, and if that's something that you've been thinking about doing. And there's many careers out there that you can do. You can do spirituality and mediumship like myself. You can do life coaching. You can do Reiki. You can do healing. You can do be an inspirational writer. There's just a lot of things that you can do to really make this place a better place to be. So again, it's also that card. When I pull that card, it's the opportunity to embark, to go within on the mind, body, and spirit, not just the spiritual aspect, but to have that balance of all three. And again, it can be a full-time or part-time. It's entirely up to you, but I always recommend starting out part-time and slowly build it. Like I said, I've been doing this part-time for 5 years now. I started the practice in 2010 professionally, where I actually started getting money for readings. That's what I mean by professionally. I don't know if you're ever professional, because there's so much to learn in this journey, and I feel like I'm still an infant learning to walk, or even crawl, I guess. But that's the spiritual numerology number of the week, is spiritual career. If you've been thinking about doing that, get all your ducks in a row for the rest of this month, and as we move into 2018, perfect timing to get your spiritual career up and running and get it going. But I'd wait until after December 22nd, because we're in Mercury retrograde, and anytime you're trying to sign contracts, do something new, wait until after December 22nd until the retrograde passes, and that alignment and that vibration opens up a little bit better. Today's positive mantra is based on stress. And again, I just felt like there was a lot of stress out there, and my job is to help you feel relaxed, to feel differently than when you first started watching this message. So take a deep breath with me. We'll repeat the mantra. Let's get into the magic of the moment. You can do that over a cup of coffee, have a cup of your tea. This is Metaphysical Mocha Mondays with Marc here on the Om Times Institute page. Thank you so much for being here. So the positive mantra for this week that I want you to work on, if you're having a stressful day, if you're having a tough go, take a second, stop, taking a nice breath. Do that at 10 times. You'd be amazed at just what the power of prana, the power of breath can do to really bring your energy down, to ground you, but also to clear your thoughts and your mind, so you're not going, Alice in Wonderland, going down that rabbit hole. So the positive mantra for this week, based on stress, if you're, again, having a tough go: today I refuse to stress myself out about things I cannot control or change. And again, life doesn't always ask us what we want. We have to make and go out and decide what we want in life, and set that vibration, have that visualization, and manifest. And again, there's going to be things in your path that you cannot control. That's ego, or change. The ego wants to be in control. The ego wants to protect. The ego wants to control or change the situation. The only thing that's consistent in life is change. So if you can get on the same page that life is going to be constantly changing for you, knowing that your greatest power is the ability, your weapon against stress is to choose your thoughts based on what happens, both from an external standpoint and in your own internal mind, it's going to help you to make better choices, to see the path, your spiritual path, a lot more clearly. So again, let me say that one more time. Today, I refuse to stress myself out about things I can't control or change. And that's your positive affirmation. That's your positive mantra for this week as we move into December. And then I'll have a new one for you next Monday, of course. And then I want to also give you a positive totem animal spirit to pay attention to. Like I said, the interactions with nature, our greatest teacher, our greatest healer. But this morning I came up with the rat. So some of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to see a rat. I don't want to see a mouse. They scare me. But the message that I got from the mouse or the rat, if you see this, whether it could be a live mouse or it could be a mouse on a cartoon, it could be a mouse in a magazine, it could be, you could hear music about mice, or the Three Blind Mice, I guess. That's something that comes to mind. It's just saying that you have a project or an investment that's about to pay off. You have plenty available based on your thoughts or fears, I guess is where I'm going with this. So it's your thoughts and your fears can drive that vibration to life. And so if the rat shows up, it's just saying that what you've been putting in, you're going to get out, because it's an equal exchange of energy. But it's saying that a project or investment is about to pay off for you. So trust in that, and in spite of your thoughts or your fears, it's not going to necessarily turn out the way that you think it is. And that happens a lot of time with our thoughts and our worry. I like to say worrying means we suffer twice, and we worry about things, and most of the time, 95% of the time, the outcome is completely different than what we thought it was going to be. So pay attention to your thoughts, pay attention to your worries, knowing that your greatest weapon against stress is the ability to choose one thought over another, and your greatest commodity is your time that you have while you're here. So celebrate your commodity of time. Celebrate the preciousness of being in the present moment and being of right now. Can't change the past. Future is not guaranteed, and it's unknown. But today I refuse to stress myself out about things I can't control and or change. That's your positive mantra for this positive affirmation for this week. Pay attention for the rat or the mouse, which is letting you know that your projects, your investments are about to pay off. Great timing as we move into 2018 as well. The Smithsonite is the stone that works as a buffer, and I'll try to put these pictures in if I can. And then for those of you that have been thinking about numbers, moving into a spiritual career, look at the number 78, the numbers 15, and the number 6. Those three numbers, if those come up throughout the week, if you're seeing those numbers, pay attention to that, because it's telling you that you need to move into more of a spiritual career or something that's in service to the world or others. So kind of exciting stuff. I hope that you had a great Thanksgiving weekend. For those of you that were here in the United States, I had a really good time with my family. My family comes over for Thanksgiving, and we just we hang out, and we just watch TV and watch movies and eat lots of food and leftovers. It's a nice way to rejuvenate and relax and revive the soul. And as we move into December, the end of the year, it's just crazy how fast time is going. But I just want to thank you for joining me this morning. I'm going to be heading over now to the Intuitive Prospector page. The link is down below. If you'd like to join me for a spiritual chat conversation, may draw a card for you. It just depends. But it's my way of actually engaging with all the spiritual prospectors globally around the world. We have an audience that's worldwide now, and we have a lot of fun. Spend 45 minutes, depending on the vibe, see what the vibe of the tribe is and see what's going on in the world. And it's a good way to give encouragement and feedback to other people of the spiritual community. So I hope that you'll join me over on the Intuitive Prospector page here on Facebook for the Q&A after show. Have a great week. If you're interested in learning more about the work that I'm doing, please go to marcleanhart.com. You can find me through the Om Times Institute page and learn it live, where I have a whole library of my online classes. I am working on some new classes coming up shortly, and then also my spiritual development group, which is an online development group. If you're interested in that, please send me a message or hit me up on Facebook or send me an email, and I'd love to chat with you. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me this morning. I'm going to head over to the Prospector page and get that spiritual conversation going. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. And remember, today I refuse to stress myself out about things I can't control or change. And so it is. Have a great week, everyone. Namaste.